All right, people, what is good? Back with another video, and today we're going to talk about the Sega Dreamcast. It is the Dreamcast 23rd birthday. Yes, it is. I know the Dreamcast came out in Japan in '98. I can't remember. I think it was like November of '98 or something like that. But it came out in the States 9/9/99. Yes, September 9th, 1999. It is 23 years old. Now, this could be a very long video, probably longer than what you see it is now, because I could go into the Japanese spectrum of the Dreamcast, which I probably will do sometime down the road because I really love this console. This is my second favorite console behind the original Xbox. This was my favorite console before the original Xbox, but I can get into that for another time. But right now we're going to talk about the Sega Dreamcast. 23 years old, phenomenal system. If you are planning on, which I don't know if you should at this point, be honest with you, if you plan on collecting for this, and if you're just now getting into it, you better act very, very fast because the games on this system are becoming pretty expensive. Even for the domestic ones here in the States, they're starting to go up in price. But if you do decide to collect for it, and the games that you do that are worth collecting for, it is a phenomenal console. Even if you don't want to buy the games, you could mod the console to do other things, which that's another rabbit hole I don't want to go down. I like to keep my console stock and just in normal fashion. But we're going to talk about the Dreamcast. Not going to go too much of a history lesson, but the Dreamcast basically failed because Sega was pouring money out, and they were bleeding money, and they just couldn't keep up with what was going on in the industry. The PlayStation 2 was on the horizon. That could have something to do with it because the PlayStation 2 had a DVD player. And it was just, the writing was on the wall for Sega to just become a third-party publisher. But it doesn't mean that the Dreamcast was a bad system. It was just so many bad decisions by Sega that caused them not to be a good, a viable. It caused them not to be a viable console maker anymore. So the Dreamcast only lived for a couple of years. If you want to count the Japanese time, it was 2 years. 3 years. Sorry about that. And if you really want to look at the afterlife, which that's another rabbit hole I don't want to go down, the afterlife of the Dreamcast still lives on to this day, where as late as 2, maybe a year or so ago, games are still being made for this console. So it has a very good life due to the homebrew and the indie developers putting games out still for this console. We can look at the console right now. I'm going to give you a visual of it. This is the American Dreamcast. Now, I have the Japanese one. I don't know, you may not see it. It's under my N64 right here. I have two of them. I have a Japanese one and I have this one. But we're going to, like I said, I'm going to talk about the American one, because the Japanese one, you can go down a rabbit hole going down and talk about that. Very cool looking console. Kind of looks like a car, has little wings on the back. Very compact. You can put this console pretty much anywhere in your setup. It's very, very, small. It's somewhat of a party console as well, because it has the 4, outlets right here. And I think somebody made a wireless controller for it, but mostly they're, those are not even third party, just somebody just made them. But they're, you can have a good time with the 4 game setup, because they have plenty of games that use all 4. Power Stone comes to mind, and all the other games under that nature. You could really have a blast with this console. Now I can show you the controller itself. This is the controller of the Dreamcast. If you don't know already, I'm pretty sure you should know. If you've been on the internet for a while, but this is the controller itself of the Dreamcast. It has the place up here where you can put the memory cards. Yes, it doesn't have a hard drive, but you could put your memory cards in, and the memory cards had this mechanic where you could play mini games on it. It has a and B button with the D-pad. sleep and mode button, and it has like data on it. Obviously, it's a memory card, and with the outlets like this, you can actually hook these two up together. See how you hook those up, and you can exchange data between the two memory cards. So this was very innovative for 1998, 1999. Obviously we don't use too many, memory cards anymore. Everything is on a hard drive, SSD, or whatever the case may be. But if you have like saved data and you want to take it over to a friend's house or whatever the case may be, and cloud storage is not necessarily a thing, it wasn't a thing. This is one of the ways you did it. There was so much data that you can go through, and obviously you could play games with someone else. Like I'm playing with the D-pad here, and they had like little mini games you could play. This was really cool back then. Not only that, you put it in, you put this in here, and you know me, I'm a sports guy. Let's say if you were playing a football game or whatever the case may be, you can call your plays on the screen right here, so the person you're playing against don't know what play you're picking. Very, very innovative for the late 90s, early 2000s. So I thought that was pretty neat. So that's the Dreamcast controller. Also, one of the best things that I've ever used in gaming, and one of the things that I love about the Dreamcast, because it was basically like an arcade style machine where it felt like the arcade games came home. It was the Dreamcast arcade stick. I don't know if y'all watched Triple KO, that episode that they did recently on arcade sticks. They called this the Green Goblin. I understand why, but this thing is a masterpiece. I love playing games with this controller, this arcade stick. It plays well with Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, all the other arcade style games that you could play with this. The buttons feel phenomenal. And it has a little dip right here, just like the Dreamcast has a little V shape and all this other stuff. Had the little wings up here, just like the console does. And you still have the place where you put your memory cards in. Phenomenal piece of equipment right here. I love this piece of work. Now, before I get into some of the games that I have and some that I recommend, I want to talk about one more piece of equipment, but I guess I could talk about one of the games before I do so. Now, you know about light gun games, whatever the case may be. Games are, you shoot the screen and, you kill zombies or police officers or bad guys or whatever the case may be. If you are playing, like Time Crisis or Virtual Cop or anything like that. Well, they had a zombie game called House of the Dead. That was started on the Saturn or something like that. Obviously arcades, then the Saturn. Then they had House of the Dead 2, which came out on a Dreamcast. But they also had a game called Typing of the Dead. So there it is, Typing of the Dead. Now, you would think, Typing of the Dead, how would you play with this? Well, you can't play with the controller. I think you can. I never tried. But you can play with this. Yes, this is a Dreamcast keyboard. You can use this keyboard to play Typing of the Dead. Now, my wife, she works with the computer, for, a living. Basically she works from home now, and she does a lot of typing. She think this game is one of the greatest games ever made, because she's very good at the game, because, she types all day. So this is right up her alley. She loves playing this game, and matter of fact, she loves it so much to the point where I had to find a way to get it running on her computer downstairs without the Dreamcast. So she has the PC version of Typing of the Dead. But another piece of equipment that's phenomenal for the Dreamcast, and I love, these type of things. They just don't make stuff like this anymore. They just don't. There's other peripherals, like I said, the light gun. I don't have the light gun. They also have like a fishing rod. You can use that as well. And I think they have some other stuff too. Like I think they have a microphone for Seaman and all that stuff. The Dreamcast was ready to go. The problem was it just came out the wrong place at the wrong time, and the Sega company was just bleeding money. They just really wasn't able to do what they they wasn't able to fund the game, the console like they should. I think the CEO like put a whole bunch of money behind it because he knew it was dying, but it ended up falling apart anyway. it was just sad times, but it's not necessarily a sad time because this console is still great to this day. I still play it. Now, I'm going to talk about a few games. I got about 10 or 12 games. Just going to run through them really quick. Games that I feel like you should probably want to pick up if you decide to get into this console space and collect for. I'm telling you, some of the games are going up in price. There are ways that you can get these games for a pretty decent deal, but some of these games are going up. And there's a few games here that are on other platforms. Some of them are delisted now, but they're still out on other platforms. Maybe you can get them. Obviously, here's one right here, Typing of the Dead. I just talked about this. Typing of the Dead is probably just exclusive to the Dreamcast. They may have a PC version out there like that, a more modern one, but not made by Sega. But yeah, that's one game that you can probably run and try to get and have a good time with, basically. So that's one game. This game I just did a video on. Hopefully you guys will check this out. Vanishing Point for the Dreamcast. This is a really good racing game. I've been having a really good time with this, and this game has gotten a bad rap. Go check out the video on this. The steering and the controls aren't as bad as you may want that they make it out to be. It's not that bad at all. So it's another good game and it's pretty cheap too. I don't have the full case of this, but when I saw the loose disc of this, I had to get it. Ready to Rumble Boxing. I think you can get this on the PlayStation, and I think it's on PlayStation 2 as well. I know Ready to Rumble Boxing 2 is out there. It's on PlayStation 2. But I think, the Dreamcast one is probably the better one to get. I highly recommend it. I'm going to skip these two games. If you are a party, gamer, whatever case may be, you like sports, you like some arcade stuff, you can play it with this with all 4 players. All the controllers hooked up to the console. Like I said, all 4. One of my favorite games to play, NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC. Very good game. I highly recommend playing this as well. And this is one game that I don't understand why people don't give this much game enough love than what it is, because it's one of the few games that actually have the NBC presentation. It's a really good basketball game. Now this game here is probably going up in price. You probably could find it on the import scene, but I know the American version is starting to go up. Good luck if you find one for under $50 to $60. Marvel's Capcom 1 for the Dreamcast. This game is going. I found this game for a pretty cheap price because me being dumb back in the day in college, when I had my Dreamcast, I was persuaded to get a PS2, and I got rid of all my games. And this Marvel's Capcom 2. A couple other games I regret giving up, but I finally got this back, and I got it back for under $20. Now this game is almost $70, $80. Very good game. This game is not easy to find right now. I think the last time they tried to release it for the PS3, I think that game is now being delisted. So this is like one of the few ways you can actually play this game now is on the Dreamcast. Hydro Thunder is another game that I highly recommend. Hydro Thunder is a really good, really good game. I think you can play this on Xbox 360 or Xbox One now. I think it's on Game Pass as well. So you do have other ways of playing it, and it's probably better to play it on that as well, because I think that's the arcade version. I think this is true to the arcade version, but I think it has like console menus or console modes that be more user friendly for console gamers. So pretty good game. Back to the sports scene, one of the best basketball games probably ever. NBA 2K2, my cousin, I love him to death, but he stands by this game. He thinks this game is the best game ever. Pretty good game, still to this day. I love it. You can use the keyboard on this. I just saw that. Probably because of online presence. Because, yeah, you could play online on these games back then. Yeah, the Dreamcast was one of the consoles that started out with dial-up and broadband at one point. So, yeah, basketball, what else can you say about it? NBA 2K2, great game. This is another game that's going up in price. This and its sequel. And it got to the point where I tried to get the sequel and I can't get the sequel. And I'm kind of mad about that. Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast. Very good game. Very good game. The second one is going up in price. I had to end up buying it on the PS3 and at the PSN store because I want to get a copy. I probably will end up getting one, but it's going to cost me some money. Now, the first one itself, yeah, you may could get this at a decent price. There's another edition of this game. It's extremely expensive, but if you want to get the Dreamcast version, it's out there. One of the Mortal Kombat games that most people don't talk about is Mortal Kombat 4. It's the first 3D Mortal Kombat, and the Dreamcast came out with this for the Dreamcast called Mortal Kombat Gold. It had its own version of it. I think this game is a lot better than advertised. Yes, it has a lot of jankiness. It's kind of like a reboot of the first one because a lot of fatalities in this game are from the first game. But I really like this game. I find it worth picking up if you want to get it. And if you want to get Mortal Kombat 4, this is the one to get. The PS4 one, I mean not the PS4, but PS1 version is okay. And the N64 version don't have loading time, so that's cool too. But this is where it's at. The Dreamcast just looks better. A few more games before I get up out of here. Football game, NFL 2K2. The Dreamcast had a pretty good lifespan on the 2K with the 2K series. That's where the 2K series basically started. And you have NFL 2K2, which is a pretty good football game in its own right. I feel like it just was a little bit behind the times with some controls, but if you can handle the controls, it's a pretty good game. If you want to play this on the Dreamcast, there are better 2Ks out there, 2K4, 2K5. You can go get those on the original Xbox, highly recommend, or the PS2. But if you want to stick with the Dreamcast, NFL 2K2 is not that bad. All right, another fighting game real quick. I don't have the cover of this one as well, but I do have the back part. I need the instruction manual of it. It pains me that I don't have the instruction manual. Street Fighter Alpha 3. Let's see. There you go. Street Fighter Alpha 3. Pretty good port. It's okay. It's not better than the Saturn version. Street Fighter 03 is amazing. Highly recommend it. Good luck of getting that version of the game. That game is almost $300. This game is not as expensive and is on the Dreamcast. Pretty good port of it. Not much to say there. Just the Saturn version is better. Last two games I want to talk about. These are, games that I find that are very, very special to the Dreamcast. And I don't want. There are more special games for the Dreamcast, but they're mostly Japanese type games, Japanese version of games. I don't want to go into the Japanese genre just yet, or the Japanese region of Dreamcast, because that's another rabbit hole. So these are the American games that I find that defined the Dreamcast for the most part. So this is the first one. Resident Evil Code Veronica. This is the original, in my opinion. I think this was like the original Resident Evil 3. But I guess they moved on to it and put Resident Evil 3, which was Nemesis or whatever the case may be. The Dreamcast version is really good. This game was built for the Dreamcast. It comes in 2 discs. I got this in excellent condition. I'm really, really happy that I have this. Very, very good. Very, very good game. They do have this game in PS2. You can get it, the Code Veronica X. I think they did a PS3 version of this as well. You can get this in different areas, but I highly recommend, just getting this on the Dreamcast. I think this the better version of the game, in my opinion, is on the Dreamcast. Phenomenal game. Last but not least, you should know, if you've been there this long, if you talk about Dreamcast, you cannot talk about this game if you're going to talk about the Dreamcast. And I'm just going to get to it. The last game is Shin Moo. This game has been released on the Xbox, and PS4, Xbox One and PS4. You can play this game on PC now, but it's just something about the Dreamcast version, having the big, the whole case and everything, all 4 discs that's in here, the passport. So if you want to play the Shenmue 2 with all the stuff, that'll be cool. I did not get the game. What is it? The UK version of the game. I'm not even sure if the passport will work. I cannot remember. So I don't ask me because I don't know. Maybe somebody in the comment section will look that up for me. But I feel like this game was amazing for its time. I feel like the series itself has died off after Shin Moo 3. I didn't think it was a fairly good game. I thought it was okay, but the first two were great. No, I think the first two were great. I do have the second one on the original Xbox. I may buy the second one with the fan translation. I'm pretty sure they may have it somewhere. I may try to get it one day, but I'm content with the Xbox, the original Xbox version of it. Now, before I go, I did a video on this already. If you want to hook up your Dreamcast in the best quality that I think without modding your console, is this right here. This is the Dreamcast Kaiko HDMI cable, Dreamcast to HDMI. I did a video of this. I probably will have the link down in the description, and I will put a card up so you guys could check it out. Phenomenal piece of equipment to put for your Dreamcast. I should have talked about this earlier, but like I said, the link's down in the description. I will actually pin the comment in the beginning of the comment section, and I'll have a card up, so it'll be so much information for you guys to get one of these. Fairly inexpensive. They're not that expensive at all. So if you want to get one, I highly recommend it. If you're going to get a Dreamcast, if you have a Dreamcast, what are you waiting on? Buy this. It makes your games look great. It makes your games look phenomenal, and I'm not kidding about that. So all the information will be all over the place on this video. I should have talked about that earlier. All right, y'all. Thank you guys if you made it this far. I really appreciate it. Dreamcast is 23 years old. I talked about a handful of games that I have. Maybe one day I'll talk about some of my Japanese games. I have them over here. I could get into like Giga Wing 2. Those games are U.S. releases, but they're extremely expensive right now. I'd rather get I have you to get the Japanese version if possible. There's other games, Ikaruga. There's a lot of shooters. Zero Gunner 2, which is actually out on I think that is out on the Switch right now. So that's another one that you can get. You don't have to worry about the Dreamcast too much. Gunbird, Gunbird 2 is another one. Phenomenal game. Power Stone, Project Justice, Rival Schools. It is so many games on the Dreamcast that you can just go down a rabbit hole on, which I'll probably talk about down the road when it comes to the Japanese side. Capcom vs. SK1 and 2. I mean, the list goes on and on. All right, y'all. I'm not going to, I could keep talking all day. Don't want to hold you guys up. Thank you if you made it this far. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button. Share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I am going to go and call it a night, hang out with my wife, and discuss some things with her before I go to bed. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it, especially for the viewership. It's been going up, and it's all thanks to you guys. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. You guys take it easy. You guys be blessed. Peace.